Do you know about Minecraft 4K, which is not Minecraft in 4K resolution, or Minecraft EDU, which is not Minecraft Education? I'll talk about both these forms of the game later, because Minecraft has a plethora of different forms for various devices, regions, or other reasons, most of which have since been discontinued. These forms of the game are called editions. Editions are different to versions or spin-offs. Versions are iterations of a specific edition, such as Java's 1.20.1 or Bedrock's 1.19.10. A spin-off is a separate game to regular Minecraft, such as Minecraft Dungeons or Minecraft Legends. You probably already know a handful of Minecraft editions, with the two main ones being Minecraft Java Edition, written in Java, and Minecraft Bedrock Edition, written in C++, with the other well-known one being Minecraft Education, formerly known as Minecraft Education Edition. They dropped the word edition just like they dropped the programming language Java, because everything except a few old editions are coded in C++. Also, ever wondered why Bedrock is called Bedrock? Because I sure did, but now I know. When Pocket Edition, which I'll touch on later, became Bedrock Edition, they renamed it in-game to just Minecraft. Since Minecraft, of course, refers to the game as a whole and not specifically one edition, it being called Minecraft was useless for referring to specifically Bedrock Edition. The editors of the Minecraft wiki chose to use the term Bedrock Edition to refer to Bedrock as a whole, and thus the community adopted the term, and now everyone knows it as Bedrock. In fact, Mojang only started referring to Bedrock as Bedrock for the first time in June of 2022, when they started selling Minecraft, Java, and Bedrock Edition for PC. Anyway, Java, Bedrock, and Education are well known and aren't discontinued. That's boring! Let's dig a bit deeper, shall we? You're supposed to say yes we shall! Now, an edition of the game you may have been thinking of earlier was Minecraft Xbox 360 Edition, Minecraft Xbox One Edition, Minecraft PlayStation 3 Edition, Minecraft PlayStation 4 Edition, Minecraft PlayStation Vita Edition, Minecraft Wii U Edition, or Minecraft Nintendo Switch Edition. These are the legacy console editions. However, all console editions are now discontinued, with most replaced by Bedrock. Oh, also, every console edition, like Bedrock, was written in C++, unlike Java. Now, what do you think the term Legacy Console Edition refers to? Every console edition? Because you'd be wrong. The term Legacy Console Edition actually refers to all console editions except one, that one being specifically New Nintendo 3DS Edition. It is a console edition, but it isn't counted as Legacy Console. Now you may say, well, why? Well, Legacy Console refers to specifically the editions ported to consoles by 4J Studios, the ones I listed a minute or so back. But New Nintendo 3DS Edition was ported to the 3DS by Other Ocean Interactive. Who are they? I don't know, it's some company that makes and ports mobile games to consoles and aren't 4J. Get off my back about it. New Nintendo 3DS is not just discontinued anymore, it's also impossible to get without getting a 3DS with the game already installed, because the eShop for the 3DS is closed, and that was the only way to buy the game. Though that doesn't really matter, because you wouldn't want to actually play the port. The 3DS is not a groundbreaking console in terms of hardware, so it can barely run Minecraft. However, props to Other Ocean Interactive, because for the hardware limitations they had, they made Minecraft run pretty well. Though the render distance leaves a lot to be desired, the world isn't infinite, and also the controls just aren't that good, because the 3DS only has a single joystick, meaning you have to move your camera with this knob, or whatever it is. I don't have a 3DS or know anything about them. Anyway, time for Pocket Edition. This was a version of the game released in 2011 for mobile devices like phones, hence the name Pocket Edition. The game was programmed in C++ and very different to Java, because for one, it didn't follow Java updates, and two, it was Minecraft but for literal phones which were not that powerful. There isn't much to say about it, because it was basically just Minecraft, but touchscreen, slightly different, and got updates at different times. The game was more different to Java when it was first released, but over time it became more and more similar. This edition was later replaced by Bedrock Edition, with the release of the Better Together update in September of 2017, which brought many consoles to Bedrock as well, and allowed for crossplay between these editions, something never seen before for Minecraft. Next one, Minecraft Classic. This is another edition of the game. You're probably wondering why this is a separate edition, considering different versions of one edition don't count, and Classic was an old series of versions for Minecraft Java Edition. While that's true, Minecraft Classic is also a separate edition. There are two things known as Minecraft Classic, one being the series of updates for Java Edition released from May of 2009 to November 2009. However, on May 7, 2019, to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Minecraft, Mojang released a remake of Classic 0.0.23a_01. This is the only edition of Minecraft not written in C++ or Java, instead being written in JavaScript, which, in case you don't know, Java and JavaScript are completely different languages despite having similar names. This was written in JavaScript as it was made to be released on the Minecraft.net website. Also, it's still up. Go to classic.minecraft.net. You don't even need to own Minecraft to play it. Anyway, because this was a remake, all the code, except for the terrain generation code, was remade entirely, not ported. Of course, this means there is a plethora of differences between the remake and the original, such as certain sounds or just physics. And that's it, no more additions. Just kidding. We've barely scratched the surface. Minecraft has been ported to consoles so people can play using their console and their TV screen. But did you know you can play Minecraft directly on your TV? Because that might be a lie, depending on what TV you have. But there are two Minecraft TV editions, Apple TV Edition and Fire TV Edition. Now, I didn't know what a Fire TV was, so I looked into it, and it seems it's a TV made by Amazon, or something like that. I barely looked into it, because I'm not interested in Amazon TVs, I'm interested in Minecraft for an Amazon TV. Anyway, there isn't too much to say about these editions, because they were just ports of the Pocket Edition. That's right, not Bedrock, Pocket Edition. Apple TV Edition was never updated after Pocket became Bedrock, so it's stuck on Pocket Edition version 1.1.5. Fire TV Edition is also stuck on this version, however Bedrock Edition is available for Fire TV, labelled in the Amazon App Store as Minecraft for Fire TV. Unfortunately, despite what I assumed and hoped, you don't play these editions with the TV remote. As funny as that would be, you need a controller. So, yeah. Boring. Now next, we've got a more interesting edition, Minecraft Gear VR Edition. Now, if you're like me, you don't know what a Gear VR is, so I did very little research into what the Gear VR is. It seems to me that it's a portable VR headset accessory for certain Samsung phones. I could be wrong, but again, I'm just here for Minecraft. So let's get back to Minecraft for the Gear VR. It essentially was just a port of the Pocket Edition, which would work with the Gear VR phone accessory. So if you wanted to play Minecraft in virtual reality, this was a good option for you. This version, like Apple TV Edition, was not updated to Bedrock, and thus it is stuck on Pocket version 1.1.5. Another edition, Minecraft Pi Edition. Pi Edition is a version made for, shockingly, the Raspberry Pi. If you don't know, the Raspberry Pi is a series of small computers made up of a single board. A Raspberry Pi is also a dessert, but there's no Minecraft in the dessert, so get it out of here! Now, Pi Edition is based on Pocket Edition Alpha 0.6.1, which, if you can't tell, is very old. Pi Edition released in 2013, and like Pocket Edition, it's programmed in C++. Pi Edition also has support for multiple programming languages, as it is intended to be used as an educational tool for novice programmers. Educational? That's just like our next edition, Minecraft EDU. You might think, didn't you already cover Education Edition? And I did, but there was another edition of Minecraft designed to be used in the classroom, this one being called Minecraft EDU. Minecraft EDU was released in 2011 and only discontinued in 2016. The last update it received was 1.8.9 Build 3. Mojang partnered with Teacher Gaming, a company started by a teacher who goes by the name The Minecraft Teacher Online. Teacher Gaming develops Minecraft EDU, with Mojang just being the licenser. It's unlike most modern editions which are written in C++ and based off Bedrock, as Minecraft EDU was based off the Java edition and thus written in Java. Minecraft EDU was the predecessor to Minecraft Education. However, Minecraft EDU has a wide range of features exclusive to it, such as number blocks for doing math. There's a bunch of stuff and I can't find information of people talking about it, so maybe, if you so desire, I'll do a full video on it. But that does mean I'll have to actually do thorough research. And with that, that's not it! Alrighty, now next in our never-ending list, I have Minecraft China Edition. This was released in August 2017, and is only available if you're in China. Also, Minecraft China just exists because China has very different laws that apply to gaming, so if Microsoft wanted to sell Minecraft there, they'd have to change stuff. So, they made Minecraft China Edition. If you aren't in China, you just can't access it. That's why we actually know very little about it. We do know, however, that there is a Java and a Bedrock version, programmed in the same languages that the Java and Bedrock we're used to are coded in. There are also lots of exclusive Minecraft China features that us regular Minecrafters would never imagine, like this, or this, or whatever this is. Anyhow, time for the quickest to be discontinued and almost oldest, second to Java edition, Minecraft 4K. That's right, the edition I teased at the beginning. This edition lasted 2 days before being discontinued. It was released on December 2nd, 2009, and was discontinued on the 4th. For reference, Java Edition was released in May 2009, which makes Minecraft 4K only 7 months younger than Java. 4K is also the only edition to be made by a single person, that being the fabled Notch, creator of Minecraft and founder of Mojang. Now, why is it called Minecraft 4K if it has nothing to do with the similarly named 4K resolution? Well, 4K comes from the Java 4K Game Programming Contest, also known as Java 4K and J4K. This was an informal contest started in 2002, running yearly up until 2014. Essentially, in this contest you had to create the best Java game possible, but you had to stay within only 4 kibibytes, or 4096 bytes. For reference, the Minecraft Java launcher, as a scripting, is about 10.13 megabytes, or 10,130,000 bytes. That is more than 1,000 times the maximum a game could be for this competition, and Notch made an entire edition of Minecraft. Of course, because of this restriction, the game is the most limiting of any edition or version. Also, the edition was made specifically for the 2010 J4K contest. There are two versions of the game, one programmed in Java and one programmed in JavaScript for the web. The game is somewhat based on classic Minecraft, as it was the most recent version at the time. The entire world is 64 by 64 by 63 blocks. It's generated every time you open the game. The blocks are scattered seemingly randomly, however I couldn't find info on whether it's actually random. Around the world there are invisible walls stopping you from escaping. There are only 7 blocks: air, grass blocks, dirt, stone, bricks, wood, and leaves. Technically there are actually 16 different blocks, as the way the game was coded only allows for 16 different block types. However, 10 of these, the majority of blocks, are just slightly differently textured versions of dirt. And now, that's not it, there's more! Oh, there's no more. That means there's only 19 different editions of Minecraft in total, not a never-ending amount. But what if I missed one? What about the future? Maybe there's millions waiting to be released. There may be 19 editions, but I think I'll just stick to Java. And sometimes Bedrock.